Now, suspected herders have attacked farmers in the community in Abuja, killing a 36-year-old, and it comes as President Tinubu gives the green light for the formation of a presidential committee tasked with overhauling the livestock industry and resolving the persistent clashes between herders and farmers. We're joined now by the president of All Farmers Association of Nigeria, Kabir Ibrahim. Is also a member of the proposed Presidential Committee on Livestock. Thank you for joining us on Newsnight.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
I think you cannot shave a man's head behind him. So let's begin with community engagement. How better can we achieve this form of involvement so as to see the end to these farmer-herder clashes?
See, many things have happened, over a very long period of time. And I will not want to bore you. The herders and farmers are really in AFAN, for instance. They are our members. And over time, from when I was young, I began escorting my dad to the farm from the age of 6. Now, what we had at that time were herders on the periphery of our farm, in their huts with their cattle, waiting for us to harvest whatever we planted, and for them to send their animals into the farm to eat the residues, and their droppings will be used as our farmyard manure. This was before we began to have chemical fertilizers and things like that. So the relationships go a very long way. But over time, and again there was a culture. Now, as these people owned many cattle, and they really did not have sufficient land to keep these cattle, they began to move looking for pasture and water for their animals. Now, you know the geography of Nigeria, the northern part of Nigeria gets its rain between April and probably up to September. Now with climate change, we get water rains even in October and whatever. But that time that I'm referring to, it was very clear that the rains came from between April and September, and the grass flourished. Right. After a while, it dries up, and they eat it all up. So they need to move to the southern part, up to the coastal part, where the pasture would still be green. They would go there just to feed their animals and to drink water and all that. And then come on back when the rains start coming, come back to the north. And some of them even came from outside Nigeria. Now, over time, we began to encroach on their pathways. They called them grazing routes, and there were grazing reserves. The colonial masters planned for this because they had the same situation over 150 years ago. If you go to England, for instance, we used to go for the Royal Agricultural Show in Coventry. Now, Coventry is midway between London and Manchester. You go by train from Paddington Station. You move left and right. You see animals grazing on.
I saw them.
Yes. I know. And you see cottages, and they were the owners that had these cottages. So it's the same thing that should really happen in Nigeria for there to be peace and all that.
So there have been attempts over the years, to address this farmer-herder clashes. I mean, you talk about grazing reserves. There's been National Commission for Nomadic Education and all whatnot. Even the National Livestock Transformation Plan.
NLTP.
Now, the president has given a go-ahead for you. I mean, you're a member of the what's it called again? Committee. I mean, tasked with overhauling the livestock issues. As a member of that committee, upcoming, hopefully, I mean, that committee will be in place very soon. What would be the solutions, both immediate and long term?
Well, you see, we had...
what would be the recommendations
we had so many recommendations.
Right.
And the most important one is, and the critical one is, to semi-sedentarize these pastoralists, or sedentarize them if possible. And when you do that, you need to give them amenities that they are seeking by moving all over. You must have pasture for them so that the animals will feed in that place. And then you go further. These people are generally uneducated. You provide schools for them. You provide medical facilities for them. You provide religious facilities for them, so that they will be attracted to remain in one place. And in fact, you even create abattoirs to slaughter their animals and all that. And then also you upgrade the value of the milk that the animals provide, so that you can even add value to what they do. For instance, if a person, some of them will own like 50 herds of cattle, and they will be dressed as poor people, they will eat as poor people, they will live in the bush and all that. But if you add value, you help them to add value. That is, their animals feed very well, they grow bigger, they produce more milk, they produce more beef. On selling them, they get more money, and they can do many other things. And their children will just be like me. Because, most of us are called Hausa Fulani.
Right.
And we received Western education, and I'm here in the studio speaking with you. So my ancestors may have not had this possibility. And that's why we think part of the reasons why these people will be controllable will be giving them these amenities. Because otherwise, the society is such that even people who finish university now do not have jobs, and many of them are on drugs.
Okay.
And they will behave abnormally. So these people are also human. They are also part of our country. They are part of our socialization and all that. Some of them will also take drugs. And that's why these skirmishes are going beyond what we were used to.
Right.
I was telling you about the time that I was young, I was going to school. They carried sticks and machetes. These sticks were to control their animals. The machetes were to help to bring leaves of edible trees for the animals from the trees, not to fight anybody.
We'll come back to you, but then we need to quickly take the report.
Indeed.
As you heard, suspected herders attacked farmers in the community, killing a 36-year-old, leaving others in critical condition. The people of Dobi community in Gwagwalada Area Council here in Abuja have then called on the federal government, security agencies, and particularly the Minister of the FCT, Sam Wike, to come to their aid to end the incessant massacre of young people in the community. Our Rice correspondent Mary Chinda visited Dobi community and filed this report.
From the outside, everything looks peaceful in Dobi community, but that is far from the reality. This Tuesday evening, Dobi community was greeted by an attack of yet another invasion of their farmlands by Fulani herders, and quickly the vigilante swung to arrest the situation while seeking help from armed security agencies. 36-year-old Ilyas Shwaibu was a victim of the attack on Dobi farmlands. Eyewitness reports say he was overpowered, killed, and his body butchered. Ilya now lies in this grave. His life ended in a violent attack. Life for his wife and 2 children, mother and brother, has now become drab, with Ilya's memory only attached to this grave. With the wife too distraught to speak, his brother, though emotional, recounts Ilya's last moments.
When I heard that the brother was caught in the bush, I rushed down to the bush immediately to discover what was really going on there. So I met one soldier man that carried in a machine. So the soldier man now asked me that who is this? And I told him that I am brother to Ilya. He now said that this is the Ilya that the Fulani caught him. So I now said, okay, what can we do now? Should we take him to hospital? He said yes. So we rushed him down to the hospital here in Dobi. So they tried their possible best to see that the situation, his condition, to calm the condition down. But they did not be able to do that. and now say, okay, we should refer him to hospital at Gwagwalada. So on our way there, we lost him at the way.
His mother and uncle, who are yet to come fully to terms with Ilias' death, speak.
If the Fulani targeted my son and succeeded in killing him, it's okay. May his soul rest in peace.
He went to there to make sure with one other person to stop our youth from attacking the Fulani or revenging what happened. It was in that process, before he even laid down his machine, he was attacked.
To curtail further violent attacks on the community, the Commissioner, Federal Complaints Commission FCT, along with others, are on a visit to investigate the continuous killings as a result of the farmers' herders crisis in Dobi Paiko axis of Gwagwalada Area Council.
This killing is one too many among many. Just yesterday, another one happened in Dukba, very close to the barracks, I was told. There will be a need for all hands to be on deck in the FCT, from the minister down to the local government chairman, traditional rulers, both from the side of the Fulanis, to sensitize our people and also come with a mechanism that will check some of these excesses.
It has gotten to a point that justice must be found. The community will not stop talking. The family will also not stop talking until justice is found. As we speak, about 3 other or more that were macheted but not dead are on they are still in hospital receiving treatment. In fact, 2 or more conditions are so that critical.
They just butchered a young man, and we don't know what this guy would have become tomorrow. We are in pains. You can see the eyes of all the youth. We are not happy about what has happened, and we want to take it up because we are representing the people.
Transparency International reports that thousands have been killed in farmers' herders attacks, and there are fears of more deaths if action is not backed with words on stamping out terrorism and insecurity in Nigeria. The life of a 36-year-old cut short in his prime, with this being his graveside. The body language of the people of Dobi community in Gwagwalada area of Abuja is that of grief and pain. But beyond that is a clarion call to security agencies, particularly the Minister for the FCT, to ensure that everything is done to return peace to the area to forestall deaths such as this. From Dobi community in Gwagwalada area of Abuja, Mary Chinda reporting for Rise News.
All right, Kabir Ibrahim is still very much in the studio with us, President of Farmers Association of Nigeria. You saw that report, just another figure, another data added to the thousands that have lost their lives to herder-farmer clashes. Talk to us about what needs to be done, because you were saying, look, it didn't used to be like this before. What do you think has given rise to this violent dimension, and what needs to be done critically?
You see, I was telling you that we had very good relations with herders, or between herders and farmers. And I gave you my example. Now, this has been the trend those days. But now many factors have come in. You know, we've done a lot of work on farmer-herder clash. I was privileged to be a member of the Ministry of Defense Committee on this farmer-herder clash and mitigation of all these type of things that arise. We made tours from Taraba to Benue to Nasarawa to Katsina to Zamfara and all that. And this was even back from about 2020 or so, searching for solutions. I even presented a paper at the Muhammad Buhari Conference Center at the NIA. I proposed a non-kinetic look at the way to solve the problems. And we must dialogue with people in order to get this solution. the kinetic means that people are calling for will not work. That is why in all our proposals, in the work that we did on this committee, that we presented a report to the president, and the president was excited. He even mentioned there, and that's why you said I was a member of a proposed committee on livestock reforms and mitigation of all these things arising from the clashes. Now, what we are thinking is that if you harness the potential of livestock keeping and you bring about prosperity into it, there will not be these kinds of problems. There is a lot of competition on feed for the animals. You can see the area where this happened here in Abuja.
Yes.
There are a lot of farms around there, and the herders are seeking food for their animals. And of course, if the animals want to stray into anybody's farm, the person would resist, and there would be skirmishes. Those skirmishes, I told you, they occurred even back then, but these people were not armed. But what has happened over time, and you know, people might not like what I'm saying, the ownership of these animals you see there, you will see that poor man driving these animals. He may not own more than 10 of them. Many of those that he drives around are owned by us, the elites. And in the beginning, what we did was, because of rustling of animals, we armed them. We gave them the AK-47s and the guns and whatever. And now they are turning against us and against many other people. I will give you my own example. Now I do zero grazing. My animals, I have to keep them, confine them in one place, like a ranch, and feed them there. I buy wheat offal at about 10,000, 8,000, something that we used to buy at 1,000. So it's not easy to keep any of these animals. And I cannot send them out because they will be rustled, or there will be criminal elements among these people who would attack whoever is fending for them.
So from what you're saying, ranching may just be the
no,
way
of
out.
course, I'm going to take you there.
Very quickly,
the president welcomed our recommendations and said clearly, and to the hearing of everybody, and I'm sure you caught it on TV, that ranching is the answer. And the NLTP you have been talking about, I participated in the NLTP as an architect. I even designed some of the facilities in Gongoshi Reserve. All those things that I itemized will have to be in place for the herders to be able to really take care of the animals and to feed them seamlessly, and therefore to avoid these kinds of troubles that lead to loss of life.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much indeed. Kabir Ibrahim, President of All Farmers Association of Nigeria. Thank you for coming to Newsnight.